excerpts from Beyond Oneness and Difference, Li and Coherence in Chinese Buddhist Thought and its Antecedents, Ziporyn, published by State University of New York Press. Sentences and phrases excerpted from Chapter 6, Beyond One and Many, Li in Tiantai and Huayan Buddhism, How Emptiness Became Li. I will be considering the Huayan and Tiantai schools of Chinese Buddhism here, because it is here that the term Li is given its most distinctive, elaborate, and influential developments. Prior to the advent of these schools, Li had begun to be used grammatically in the sense of noticeworthy coherence, as intelligibility, and in this extended sense as a principle or idea that is to be known and understood, and in some cases as a pervasive fact which may or may not enter consciousness. The implication of a potentiality that has not yet been realized or brought to awareness is a dimension of the term that will come to play a larger role in the Buddhist usages. The first line of the Tao Te Ching effectively summarizes the position. Quote, "It is not that there is a Tao which cannot be spoken or thought. Unspeakableness and unthinkability are themselves Tao." Close quote. This meant that in a sense it was not merely potential, but always actual. But it must be remembered especially that these usages never for an instant depart from Li's connection with value, with soteriology in the broad sense. It is not just a principle, a common fact, a potentiality, or a coherence among and applicable to a number of particulars, but rather it is one that is being asserted to be worthy of notice and attention because of the role it can play in attaining a specific human goal. In the Buddhist case, this is generally the soteriological goal of transcending samsara, attaining nirvana, overcoming suffering. Early Chinese Buddhist thinkers began to use the term Li as synonymous with dharmata, Dharma nature, and, by extension, Buddha nature, that which must be realized in order to become a Buddha. A certain conflation of Li with ultimate truth and with Buddhahood itself also occurs, mapping the Li-Shi pair onto the ultimate truth, conventional truth structure of Indian Mahayana Buddhism. Li is the fact about things, in this case about all things without exception, hence the omnipresent universal, attention to which will lead to liberation. For those schools that consider emptiness to be ultimate truth, or what needs to be realized in order to obtain the optimal human value, Buddhahood, Li is accordingly sunyata, emptiness, condition co-arising, and with it the consequent facts of impermanence, suffering, the Four Noble Truths, and so on. But it also happens that this intelligibility is asserted to be intelligible in every single instance of experience without exception, thus bringing in the sense of coherence as unification and universality. But the value aspect in particular is what qualifies this particular fact about things to be called Li. The term Li indicates precisely the dimension of value and intelligibility. It is not just what is universal, or universal within a given class or group, but what is worthwhile to notice about that class or about all things. In the Buddhist case, it is usually emptiness that one must understand in order to be liberated, and therefore emptiness is called Li. Emptiness is Li because it is a potential object of knowledge and practical realization. It can be accorded with in one's cognitions and behaviors. When this is done, one achieves liberation from the disharmony of samsara, from suffering. So, although it is true that emptiness is the omnipresent, common trait shared by all existences, and in that sense the unifying category that joins them, this is not what qualifies it to be called Li. The unification and oneness of all things denoted by the term emptiness as Li is rather a sort of byproduct. The point is the way in which a human being may himself cohere harmoniously with all existences without exception, in this case apprehending them without attachment, merely by harmoniously cohering with, or knowing, or realizing this one particular emptiness, Li. Li becomes the omnipresent universal, the abstract trait or category shared by all things, only secondarily. Nothing is implied here about emptiness as a kind of undifferentiated oneness that is the real reality into which all other things are reducible, in contrast to which all things are illusion. That said, it is also true that the specific content of this particular Li, emptiness, is precisely non-duality, itself an effacement of apparent separateness, a kind of unity. For emptiness means the absence of any definitive self-nature for any entity, the unintelligibility of the borders that separate it from what is other than it. It so happens that in Buddhism this is regarded as what needs to be seen in order to achieve liberation. The implications of unity in this more radical sense in the Chinese Buddhist understanding of Li must be clearly understood. For in Tiantai and Huayan, we will see the deployment of Li as implying first and foremost non-obstruction between differentiated parts of existence in a way that affirms both unity and differentiation. It is here that it becomes feasible to simply cut straight to the chase and translate Li as something such as wholeness or whole. The wholeness of the whole, which is whole at every locus, manifesting as the wholeness of any possible individual being, which exists thereby as an individual whole that is at once part within the overall whole. To understand what kind of whole this is, and why this is important, however, we must examine the basic Buddhist problematic of soteriology, which here gives Li its meaning as liberating. For we have here to do with a kind of wholeness that forms no total static whole with definite characteristics.